now, so whatever. But talking about Evan Neal, when John Harbaugh probably met Evan Neal, he saw his size, his stature, 6'7", 350 pounds. Like, there were reasons that people talked about Evan Neal going potentially 1 overall, right? Obviously, he went 7 to the Giants, but there's when guys are up that high. What's up, Omega? How you doing, bro? I didn't realize I didn't start on YouTube. I'm trying to figure out this multi-streaming thing. So I got TikTok going on one, YouTube going on the other. But I hope you've had a great weekend, great week, and thanks for joining, bro. Where I was going to get started talking about today was just talking about the Giants offensive. We're revisiting some of the Isaiah Likely stuff, Tremaine Edmonds a little bit. Was talking about Illuminor, and then I kind of pivoted to discuss Evan Neal. And, one of the things with Neal was his pure size and stature, 6'7", 350 pounds. John Harbaugh probably meets this guy and is like, if you saw him, like the way Evan Neal looks, being that big, almost like a professional wrestler, we should have cut him. I agree, but let me just make a quick point about this before we dive into it is, he's so big that when you see someone who's 6'7", 350, like even Greg Van Roten at guard, I've seen him in person, probably 6'2", 6'3", 300 pounds, not a physically imposing offensive lineman, someone who Evan Neal looks like. When people see Evan Neal, they're like, this guy is ginormous. He has to be good at football. John Harbaugh is an amazing coach, and he probably sees Evan Neal and is like, I got to make this guy good. And he was probably on our board with the Ravens. If he fell to us, we probably would have considered taking him, right? Because all of these coaches are scouting the same guys at the end of the day. It's just a matter of, if the chips fall their way and they get to him. So Evan Neal coming back is unbelievable. We should have cut him. He's coming back for 0 guaranteed money, which is kind of unbelievable for his contract, is the point that I was trying to make is, he's coming back and there's no skin in the game really for the Giants where it's going to affect their cap if they do have to cut him after camp, which probably will be the most likely scenario here, right? If we're being honest, because we've seen Evan Neal the last few years. We know that he's not going to really truly be successful at guard. So maybe they make a last-ditch effort and try to move him back to tackle, and, maybe he could learn from Andrew Thomas and Illuminor. And that's probably what we were thinking the last couple of years, but it didn't happen. Did it shock me that he got re-signed to come back? Yeah, absolutely. I thought he was totally toast when he didn't really. He might have suited up a game or two this season, but that was like him doing warm-ups. Like, it was never even a factor that he was even going to step foot on a football field last year. And I thought that was going to spell the end of his time as a New York Giant. But hey, new coaching staff comes in. Joe Shane's getting kicked to the back of the line with his thoughts. Shane probably wanted to get rid of him because it's been, egg on his face for a couple of years. And they re-signed him for virtually nothing. And now it's kind of like, this is on the player. This is, if I'm Evan Neal, let me be honest with you. If I'm Evan Neal, this is my last chance to really have a strong shot in this league. Or, maybe it would have been, maybe there was no market for him anywhere else where he's like, fuck it, I don't want to sell my house and shit. Or apartment. I'll just stay with the Giants. Or is it, hey, I want to prove that I can be the person that I was drafted to be at 7 overall? I don't know. What do you guys think about Evan Neal? Was it stupid bringing him back, or I don't know. I just feel like it's not that big of a risk for the Giants at this point because they have Illuminor, they have Embo, they have Andrew Thomas. Some comments in this live were filtered to protect the community experience. What the hell are you guys saying on there? But yeah, I mean, and to kind of cap off the Evan Neal conversation, it's just getting to be, let's get the offensive line back to what it was this last season. And if that means re-sign Greg Van Roten, I'm doing it. Why not? Greg Van Roten is the only starter, I think, to play every single snap of every game for the last 2 seasons. There's something to be said about consistency. And he's not going to cost a pretty penny. Do you want to bring or draft someone else in to He stole 25 millions from the Giants. Um, yeah, our name, I mean, Kenny Galladay stole a lot more for a lot less. At least Evan Neal, we had some fun moments with him and we had a little bit of hope. Kenny Galladay had nothing, which is hilarious. Thanks for the comment, bro. I'm on board with the McFadden signing and the Picard signing. I think it's the most tactical signing. Scatterboo, Dart, they have a new force field around them. Yeah, I mean, to touch on that, shit, did I even put, I tried to put down contract details on my notes here. I got my documents. I didn't even know. I couldn't whatever Patrick Ricard was reported at getting. But when's the last time the Giants had a fullback? When is the no, I mean Evan Neal was a healthy scratch for the whole season. And to finish up talking about a fullback, right? When was the last time we had a fullback? Hanaski, going back to my childhood, Jim Finn. And then Madison Hedgecock, the first time around. The Giants have had some great linebackers or fullbacks rather, and it's great to finally have another one back in the offense that could be a focal point where the Ravens are a team that likes to use fullbacks and they've done a good job with it. Kind of like the 49ers always do, right? With Juszczyk, Omega, yeah. Evan, you got lost. What do you sorry, just to wrap up the Evan Neal conversation, you lost you with the flipping burgers comment. Yeah, that was one where I literally did a whole video about that. That probably got one of my most viewed videos on YouTube about the flipping burger comment. But to my point too, he's a kid. Kids say stupid shit. I probably said a lot dumber things if I was 22, 23 years old, had a boatload of cash, $25 million. And everyone was booing me every time I played too. I'd probably talk some shit. Andrew Daughtry, do you think we're really drafting Love or is it a smoke screen? I don't think I like what some people have been talking about the Titans drafting Jeremiah Love at four, so the pick before the Giants, and I think that would be a great move for the Titans, even though they seems like they need help everywhere. But for them to get another young weapon in that offense, I think Dable likes having a strong running back. He had Saquon for all of those years, but if you're taking Jeremiah Love at 4 overall, that's someone you're going to plug in and play day one. Another auto win for that offense. Like I thought Wan'Dale Robinson at $70 million might sound stupid to us as Giants fans for $70 million, but $70 million for the Titans to get that weapon is a good spend of their, salary allocation, I think. So yeah, I think clearly what we've seen, the Giants have been doing their homework on Jeremiah Love, and it's someone that they might draft if he's there. I don't know. It's tough to say. It's a smokescreen at this point. He was just there over the weekend, spending time with the Giants and having another interview. The Giants have like a Mara connection. They love Notre Dame. It's an Irish Catholic thing. As an Irish Catholic person, I don't really have the infatuation for Notre Dame like a lot of people like me do. But it exists, and it's very biased. I'll tell you that right now. 4 seasons of proof that Evan Neal is garbage. Yeah, I mean, Evan Neal is dog shit, but maybe somehow John Harbaugh fixes it. I don't know. That's why I'm always internally an optimistic person, but who knows? He's probably going to get caught in camp, and this conversation won't even matter anyway. And the Giants won't owe him anything. So maybe he will be flipping burgers because he need a job to pay for that apartment in Hoboken or whatever he lives. Number 5 in order of Styles, Tate, Love, and Downs. I think Caleb Downs is probably our best option to slop. They just signed a couple safeties, right? Darius Washington, versatile defensive back. I think but judging by what Rudy, judging by what Ravens fans had said about Adarius Washington was that they really liked him 2 years ago. I think he was either a really late round draft pick or he was undrafted, and he kind of worked his way onto the team, would hit people really hard, but within the confines of this new modern NFL and all the rules that we find ourselves in to this point. Um, and he was able to play within that. And then I think last season he was really hurt, so they lost him for a strong amount of time. But he's someone that maybe can rotate in at safety. Jason Pinnock also came back. Dane Belton on the way out to the Jets. So there are a lot of things at safety right now. Is safety, a strong point on this team? No. Does drafting Caleb Downs at 5 overall tremendously help if this is a guy you think's going to play 10 or 12 years in the NFL? 100%. So then take him. I know there's, you're getting the smoke screens a little bit out of the dude. Andrew, thanks for the follow. You're getting the smoke screens right now on Caleb Downs. Oh, you're hearing about physical injury stuff and doctor stuff, not liking his physical or something with his knees. But again, this is just smokescreen stuff that is constantly happening. So, I mean, for me, you still have a hole at safety. Is it as big right now as right guard? No, but you're not going to take a right guard at 5 overall, and you can re-sign Greg Van Roten for super cheap if he wants to come back at that price point. And then Tate. I don't really know about these wide receivers, guys, like Jordan Tyson, Cardinal Tate. Damn it, I was supposed to talk about free agents, but let's just talk about the draft stuff. Tate. I don't know. He didn't really impress me, but again, this is a guy that if you draft him, he's out there starting day one. He would have to be if he wasn't. Whoever you're starting at. Whoever you're drafting a 5 overall is a day one starter. If they think Cardinal Tate's a day one starter outside of Malik Neighbors coming back and hopefully being able to get back into a little bit of form coming off an full offseason of ACL rehab, then I'm not going to be pissed off about it. I'm not going to be pissed off if they do Jeremiah Love. I'm not going to be pissed off if they do, Caleb Downs. And then if they do want to move the pick and trade back, and I don't think they'll take an offensive lineman or anything because they just re-signed Illuminor, but yeah, and to get to the last point there, Sonny Styles at 5. Did a video about him, a couple of videos about Sonny Styles. I mean, tremendous physical specimen, seems to be all the intangibles, and you just brought in Tremaine Edmonds, and then you pair him next to Sonny Styles and see what McFadden can do and rotate McFadden in, or play McFadden elsewhere, right? Or McFadden's on kind of like a 1-year prove it deal, right? What did I have for him? I can't even remember. Where is it? 1 year, $3.76 million all encompassing. Yeah, Sonny Styles immediately. If you get Sonny Styles on a defense with Abdul Carter and Dexter Lawrence and Brian Burns and Denard Wilson as the new defensive coordinator, I have high hopes for the D, even though the secondary still isn't great, but you're not taking a cornerback at 5. The Giants don't seem to love anyone there. I think Downs will be top 10. I trade back if Styles, Love, or Tate aren't taken. There have only been 4 safeties ever taken top 5. Yeah. Hey, but you got to keep in mind, John Harbaugh did draft Kyle Hamilton not too long ago, and Kyle Hamilton's been an absolute stud. So clearly Harbaugh does his due diligence and research, and when they've had safety, the history of such strong safeties for the Ravens, like Ed Reed, and that maybe that's something that's in Harbaugh's mind. I don't know. Praying that Styles is there. Yeah, I think we just spoke about that. McFadden's is injury prone. Yeah, our name. I mean, I think he had the one season 2 years ago where he had over 100 tackles. I think he played in majority of the games. But yeah, it's it's a solid prove it deal for him to come back and see if it works. And if McFadden balls out and they don't take Sonny Styles at 5 or Sonny Styles is gone, Okay, great. Let's see what Michael McFadden could do. Let's hope for the best. He seems like a good guy, and I was really that was an injury early on. What was that, week 1 or 2, where McFadden went down, and I was like, damn, I really wanted to see what McFadden could do this year. 2 tight end set with Scat in the backfield, Picard at fullback, and Malik on the outside. So many options. Omega, you're talking some smash mouth football there, brother. Yeah, man, I got to be honest with you. Smash mouth giant football paired with some edge rushers. Does that make me think about, the 2007 through 2012 years? A little bit, if I'm being honest with you guys. Trading down would be a mistake. Yeah, I mean, there is someone at 5 that they could get that'll immediately help this team and roster tomorrow. What else from free agencies? Talked about the punter. Did I talk about this last time? I can't remember, but I'll just do my quick thing here that I spoke about previously. Was Jamie Gillen has been so bad for the Giants that, and the last 2 seasons specifically, there haven't been a lot of, big moments for the Giants where you're counting on your punter to pin an opponent deep and make their offense go 90 yards, right? Jamie Gillen just blasted into the back of the end zone. Well, that's all changed now because Jordan Stout signed to be one of the highest paid punters in the NFL. And then you see what I was watching some of his highlights, which is funny to say, watching punter highlights. This is where I'm at in my life right now, watching punter highlights. But he looks good. And this is football is a chess match, right? And the last few years, the Giants special teams have been playing checkers. Jordan Stout moves it into more of a chess match. Getting rid of Graham Gano finally. Having Jason Sanders from the Dolphins, who was hurt last year. One of my buddies is a Dolphins fan. He said the Dolphins fans liked him a lot, and he was just hurt last year. And then you're having him compete against Better Call Ben Sauls, and that's good. I think competition's good, guys. Hear me out. Let the best man win. And that's going to be the way it is with Harbaugh because he's here. He's getting $10 million a season, or whatever it is, to coach. And he wants to win now. He wants to have his name next to Coach of the Year, turning around what has been a dreadful franchise for the last 13 years. And I don't think he gives a shit if Ben Sauls is better than Jason Sanders or Jason Sanders is better than Ben Sauls. Whoever is the best player that has a propensity to make field goals will win the job. And that is a W to me. Fiegels was a weapon, and Weatherford also. Yes, our name. And here's the thing that bothered me a little bit with Fiegels, because recently Fiegels, I don't know, he was working for the Giants in some capacity. It might have been like a WFAN thing. I forget exactly what it was, but Jeff Fiegels was in and around the Giants building. And I don't understand why any of the coaches wouldn't be like, hey, Jeff Fiegels, can you please talk to our shitty punters? Can you talk to Riley Dixon? Pull him aside. Riley Dixon looks good when he's punting for the Rams or whatever fucking playoff game I put on and see Riley Dixon pinning people deep when he never did with the Giants. Or, Fiegels and Weatherford. But Fiegels should have been, hey, can you talk to Jamie Gillen? He's from Scotland. Who knows if he's even played football really before, getting to college, wherever he went. Can you just explain to him that he has to try to put it within the 20-yard line and in, or not just blast it to the back of the end zone? So, yeah, I would have liked to see Fiegels have some of those conversations. Steve Weatherford, love him. He's always on social media being super jacked and shit these days. Seems like he's really got into his God era and all of that stuff. But again, you're talking about great punters, and now the Giants have one less thing to worry about. And there was a guy who was on my TikTok this morning shitting all over the Jordan Stout thing. You think the Giants would be better next year because they have a punter? No one is saying that. What we're saying is that it's one less thing we have to worry about, having the best punter, one of the best punters, I said the best, in our special teams unit It's a W. We lost so many games due to special teams. Yes, JM, we did. Not just, and it wasn't always just Graham Gano, whatever, his hamstring just falling off in the pregame kicking. It was punting too, but it was much less noticeable from, Jamie Gillen, because if Jamie Gillen had a shitty punt, the defense with 5 minutes left in the game was going to turn into Swiss cheese because of Shane Bowen's play calling. And then, to your point, availability is sometimes people's best asset. I'm just surprised. I'm surprised just the conversation had Flott leave. I think more than a combo that had him leave. I don't know. Dable, I don't know what happened with Flott. The whole thing was weird. The writing from the beat reporters about what happened too was a little bit wonky too. Like there was a deal in place, and then he goes to the Titans, and then he just immediately signs with the Titans, even though he's supposed to sign with us. So another homegrown guy walks away. So there, word of course, trickle down effect, like you mentioned. Yeah, and then Ravens fans are upset about our signings. Yeah, they do seem upset. I saw one guy was talking about how they knew it was a foregone conclusion that Lindenbaum was going to go, but what pissed them off was losing their punter, and Isaiah Likely and the fullback that were kind of like a little bit of the culture of their team. A little bit. I'm not trying to say the punter is a huge culture piece, but not as much as like having a badass fullback, But yeah, man, we're going to see that how much next season, and I think we're going to see early on what a difference a punter can make, especially later in games when games are on the line and you got to make an opposing quarterback try and go 85, 90 yards instead of I think there was one really bad punt at the end of one of the games last year. Was it the Cowboys game early on where Jamie Gillen shanked it, and then Dak was going to go down the field anyway at the end of that game, but I think it was okay, now I just got to go 30 yards instead of 70. I might be wrong on that, but I feel like it was one of those moments. Stout, Likely, Picard. Yeah, man. The pumps me up. I remember thinking 2 years ago, why are they still running with Andrews and Likely to reference to Likely? Honestly, I'm going to defend Mark Andrews for a sec because he had that bad drop, and I think he had a very productive NFL career. And it sucks. I hate when, guys, I'm a Mets fan, and one of the best moments in Mets history was when a ball went through, what's his name's legs on the Boston Red Sox. Why am I blanking off the top? And people talk about that moment to this day, even though that was game 6. Why am I blanking on his name? But there's still a game 7, and the same thing kind of applied to Buckner. Thank you. The same thing kind of applied to Mark Andrews. So obviously a little bit different sports, right? But Mark Andrews was getting shit on so bad. I think that was a 2-point conversion that they had to get, and it was in the fourth quarter. And I can't remember if they had a chance after that too, but I think Mark Andrews, has been a very productive player. I don't know. That was my whole tangent on him. How are we feeling about the Pinnock signing? Getting Jay Pizzy back, man. Jay Pinney. I've always liked Jay Pinney. Again, it's depth. Here's the biggest thing with bringing back Jason Pinnock is he was a productive Giant. And what happened last year, guys, when guys in the secondary got hurt, you're seeing Corey Black off the street. You're seeing guys signed off practice squads. So having guys that have played in the NFL, whether, they've been the strongest NFL players, no, but they are NFL players. They can step in, they could be productive. It's that's a W in the free agency for me where, and hey, if they draft other guys and these young guys that they draft can beat one of these older cats out that's probably not getting paid too much, then that's a W for me too. Mark Andrews is one of my favorites. Boomer Sooner. Yeah, hell yeah, Philip Lyons. Yeah, I was a huge Baker Mayfield guy, so I don't have a college football team though. Anyone have a super fun college football team that they follow? I'm kind of like a gun for hire, but watch a lot, gamble on it. No loyalty, but I want to make it to an SEC game this season. I want to take my dad and go to drag him to a Texas football game. I feel like he'd like that. Loved Pinnock. Loved Oregon in high school. Yeah. Mariota. Oregon had some fun seasons. But yeah, no, let's get back to talking about some of the free agency shit here because we're getting off the rails. And we can talk about college football and stuff at the end, but I want to keep plowing away here, talking about wide receivers because I think the Giants made two great moves. Oh, Andrew Daughtry, thank you so much. Exactly. Bringing up to my point. Darnell Mooney and Calvin Austin. The Darnell Mooney move, dude. 1 year, up to $10 million. That's good shit. Darnell Mooney has had a lot of success so far in this league. He's on the start on the Bears, went to the Falcons. I mean, I guess I'm using success with pretty loosely because then he's if Mooney can do anything and be better than Darius Slayton, which we all know has been pretty shitty the last couple of years and has the drops. Like again, whoever can play well can win this job, can be the wide receiver too. It's there for the taking. Darnell Mooney. Can you beat out Darius Slayton? Someone needs to step up. Even if Isaiah Hodgins, and hear me out on this. I'm not saying I want Isaiah Hodgins to start, but if Isaiah Hodgins is better than Darius Slayton, Darnell Mooney, and however Neighbors is looking until he's back, then whoever the best player is needs to win the role. Mooney was in talk with the Giants and the Eagles. Yeah, I like that he came to us. I think you probably have a little bit more competition trying to get the ball for the Eagles, right? With AJ Brown, or I think AJ Brown's still with the Eagles. I know he's crying a lot after like every single game, and then Devontae Smith. There's a lot of mouths to feed in that Eagles offense. Another player who I felt the last 3 years could do better with quarterback play. We saw flashes with Kirk. Dart will eat with him and Austin. Yeah, Austin's solid too. Yeah, you know what? Like Calvin Austin is a cheap kind of replacement for Wan'Dale. I think you got Isaiah like this is guys. I know we hate Joe Shane. I know we don't want to like Joe Shane, but what him and Don Aponte, and if we're giving Joe Shane credit, whatever, then what John Harbaugh and Don Aponte did in getting Isaiah Likely, Calvin Austin, and Darnell Mooney for like $50 million compared to Wan'Dale getting 70, that's a W. Honestly, I think if John Harbaugh is not here, Wan'Dale Robinson gets paid that $70 million from Joe Shane. But again, dudes, this is what are we booing? Again, if they like Tate, if they like Jordan Tyson, I'm not against taking a wide receiver at 5. Like if Styles is gone, if Tate's gone, if Styles is gone, if Downs is gone, if they think a wide receiver can turn into a wide receiver 1, because in all honesty, like I love Malik Neighbors, but 2 straight seasons of getting banged up, and now Joe Shane. All right, I got you. I thought you were booing me. I was be booing me. No, Joe Shane. I agree. But I love Malik Neighbors. Back-to-back seasons, some pretty bad injuries. A lot of concussions year 1, year 2, torn ACL. And when they opened up his knee, They said that there was a lot of banged up stuff in there. You don't want to hear that with young wide receivers. And let's keep our fingers crossed here, but we've had flash in the pans, great Giants receivers that are part of some of my favorite years as a Giant, between Hakeem Nicks, Victor Cruz, to name a few off the top of my head, Odell tearing his ACL. Guys can lose their step, if they don't rehab it properly. But we don't want fucking, I don't want to think about it, but I hope Neighbors can do everything in his power to come back as strong, as healthy as possible, because the Giants are going to need him. Jackson Dart's going to need him. We only got, a quarter of football with Jackson Dart and Malik Neighbors. We were robbed. What did we get? 2.5, 3, 4 games of Jackson Dart with Scattaboo. Wandell wasn't worth bringing back at that cost. No lose. Yeah, no, I agree. 70 million, it's a lot, but and this is, I did a short video about this, didn't really get much traction or whatever, but I think Wan'Dale Robinson to the Titans is a great move for the Titans. It's very comfortable with Brian Dable's offense. It's another weapon for Cam Ward. And what do we see every single offseason, guys? We see free agent wide receivers getting massively overpaid in the market. And just if you want to take a goog on this one, give it a little Google. Look at who the Bills paid last season to bring in when they let Diggs go to the Pats or whatever. Like, they paid some pretty shitty guys, like between $8 and $12 million. And they just overpay for them. I would love Malik to have the first ever 2,000 yard wide receiver season in 2026. Yeah, unfortunately, like what we saw, guys, when wide receivers, and this, I think the same thing applies to a running back a little bit. Like, not everyone's going to come back from ACL or knee surgery like Adrian Peterson that one season and look insane. There were doctors or orthopedic surgeons or arthroscopic surgeons that were like, we've never seen a knee heal, the bone density heal like it did for Adrian Peterson that time. That just doesn't it takes time for these guys to come back, which is, I'm going to give Malik Neighbors, if he doesn't look the same, he's got a season for me. I'm giving him a full season before I'm going to really judge him for not looking the same. I'm not going to shit on him too much. Austin is solid too. Yeah, I mean, and then you're looking at Calvin Austin in the slot, Isaiah Likely in the slot as well. If either of those guys they could design plays for them and work that option, I think that's a W in terms of like replacing Wan'Dale. Wan'Dale Robinson ever had 1,000-yard season when Malik Neighbors is there too? No. But I love Wan'Dale, so I'm not going to try and talk too much smack or whatever. And I'm not. I love Wan'Dale. Greg Newsome was another cornerback. That guy had a lot of hype back in the day. 1 year, $10 million, center base. So that's a pretty good move from a secondary perspective, because what happens if, Greg Newsome comes in and can look really good? If he's better than Deonte Banks, he's got to play. And I still don't know how you can really trust Deonte Banks after what we've seen. He does not pass the eye test. Maybe Deonte Banks can come back as a special teams option, as like a kick returner or something, because he did flash those that speed, that I didn't really know he had. And Deonte Banks is a big dude. He's like 6'3". But another wasted cornerback in the first round pick that it seems a little bit that the Giants are oddly familiar with. You look at it over the years, you had, you go back like Eli Apple, DeAndre Baker, some of these names that the Giants would take in the first round from Prince Mukamura, like that they just never really live up to the hype. Aaron Stinney, we spoke about the offensive line before, but Aaron Stinney coming back. So yeah, some more O-line depth. And I think at the end of the day, I think the Giants are in a better place, where they were last year this time. And like, here's one thing I wanted to say. Was this guy's posted on my video today. He's like, the Giants have had a terrible, dreadful, awful free agency. They haven't addressed the core of free agency is to do better, pick up better guys. It's like, yeah, there's free agency. The Giants have signed people. They've filled some gaps. They brought in some couple names. And I'm not trying to say, again, a punter is going to be, get you to win a Super Bowl, but it's part of it. And there's free agency. You're not going to solve everything in free agency. Guys don't want to come to the Giants or New York, New Jersey. You get a lot of tax implications there. If you were between that or going somewhere in like Texas or Florida, you're probably going to go there because of just like more money in your own pocket. And I wouldn't blame anyone either. And then we also have the draft coming up too. Sorry, I dropped my papers. We have the draft coming up too, guys, and stuff will get figured out there. Every team goes after Banks when he's on the field. Yeah, that was a very sobering to see. And when he's in, I'm like, why wouldn't you? And here was also messed up part at the end was like, why wasn't Shane Bowen giving him help? I think when Wink Martindale was there, Banks had his best season, right? Because they're bringing the house, they're blitzing people left and right. And it was just a tough situation for most quarterbacks playing against the Wink Martindale defense. Then you go to the Shane Bowen system, which I don't know, after a season and a half or however many games we watched, I don't really know what that system was. So Banks needs to be coached on playing the ball, not the man all the time. Yeah, Banks was not very good. And then how about the Edmonds signing? Yeah, I spoke about this early on. I think I kind of messed up when I was trying to go live between TikTok and YouTube. So, yeah, I mean, I think the Edmonds signing is great. And just to re-echo that, the run defense has been so bad the last few seasons. So you're signing a guy like Edmonds to come in. And after Bobby Okerke's gotten, he's had a regression. You bring in Edmonds, that's a W. And people are like, he's the oldest shit linebacker. It's like, he's like 27, 28 years old. Who cares? He could be completely fine. And he averages like 100 tackles a season and is a leader and signed for much less than probably we thought he would. So W for Joe Shane and Harbaugh and Don Aponte and getting that done. I'm excited for it. The run defense has sucked. It sucked since they traded Leonard Williams that time. Never been the same since. And then, yeah, do they still need D-tackle help next to Dexter Lawrence? If Dexter isn't the same as what he's been after a down year last year, I don't know. They drafted Darius Alexander, who I thought had a pretty productive back at end of the season. And people, that's what pissed me off about the guy's comment. He's like, you're taking out so many things and people want, like, treat it like Madden where all of these things are going to get figured out with one free agency. It's like you still have a draft coming up. And then you also have minicamp, training camp, full offseason of guys training and getting better. Do we not think that there's someone on this team that could step up and get better? Darius Alexander just going to suck compared to how he was in year one? No, it's probably going to get better. At least I hope so. And learning from Dexter and playing with Dexter Lawrence, hopefully you should. So, like, so far, like, who do you guys got as the best, free agent signing that the Giants have made so far between Edmonds, likely, Stout, Mooney, re-signing Jermaine Illuminor? What are you guys' thoughts on the top Giants free agent signing or re-signing? I'm really excited to see what Isaiah Likely could do, to be honest with you guys. Do I think he's the best signing that they made? I love the price point on it as well. But obviously, getting a punter for the first time in a long time is probably the best move for us. And maybe it's a little underrated, but I'm pumped. Jermaine Illuminor is back. Excited to see what. Yeah, Omega. I love where you're at with that. Card's your favorite, even though you like all the moves. Yeah, I am excited to see what Picard could do. Because when's the last time we really used a fullback? I feel like it's been so long. Picard's the favorite dude. To see a backfield with Picard, and Scadaboo or Tyron Tracy, I think that's awesome. Likely to be second. Yeah, I'm excited to see what Isaiah Likely could do. Least favorite, and everyone probably least favorite re-signing will be Evan Neal. But you know what? It's at about a zero, guarantee from a monetary perspective. So Picard, let's go. It's just been so long. It's been so long since we had a legitimate fullback. Wouldn't they like? You guys probably remember we had Nikita Whitlock at there at one point. Elijah Chapman on the goal line last year. I feel like maybe they would even put Will Tye at fullback when he wasn't a tight end. I don't know. I'm just like thinking of like all of the bad fullbacks that Tom and Fox. I think they had a fullback at one point, or there was a 49. Remember Dart uses his legs a lot. Yeah, I'm super interested to see what Matt Nagy could do with this offense. Again, I'm trying to err on the side of positivity with a lot of this stuff because the last 12 years, 13 years have been so bad outside of like 2 fluke seasons here or there. I also did a video about the Giants 2022 season and why that was a fluke on my YouTube channel if you want to check that out and learn why. But outside of those 2016 and 2022 season, a lot of bad football has been played. And even in those seasons, particularly, there was some bad football that ended bad. Yeah, they would use Bellinger. I'm going to miss Bellinger. I think he got a raw deal. But you know what? Completely made up for it now getting, $8 million a year from the Titans. I hope he does well, honestly. I hope I put on NFL Red Zone and see Bellinger scoring touchdowns. But I know the reaction will be, why didn't he do that with us? Why didn't Bellinger do that with us? He did. They just didn't play him, and they didn't like him for whatever reason. What else did I have over here? I'm sorry. Yeah, Isaiah Hodgins. Yeah. The Harbaugh vision is coming into frame for me. Yeah, I mean, and this is what I had said too. I thought about a scenario where John Harbaugh was coming to the Giants, but I said regardless, if whoever's coaching the Giants next season, because I knew Dable was gone, I'd been calling him to go for the last 2 seasons. Whoever was in charge, what I was going to tell them to do was to make Jackson Dart sit down and show him a highlight reel or season over season highlights of Lamar Jackson. Because although they don't play the exact similar game, Lamar Jackson's constantly on the move. He's also running and he's avoiding big hits. He's getting out of bounds. He's sliding. And I would do, if I was the Commanders too, if I was Dan Quinn, I would be sitting down Jaden Daniels and telling him this shit too. It's like, you got to protect yourself if you want to be able to play a long term. And last season, we saw Lamar Jackson go down, but he's going to run. He's going to be hit. And he was able to survive as long as he has, really, until, last season was a little bit injury stricken from him, but no major injuries pretty much before then. So it's a good person to kind of see their tape, see how they move around, and see how they can, extend their longevity in the NFL. I think that was really it. We'll probably do. I mean, this is kind of it for my free agency stuff. Did I miss anything? I mean, I kind of spoke about Isaiah Hodgins, Gunnar Olszewski. We talked about extensively last time around. Tremaine Edmonds, Malik Neighbors. I'm nervous about Neighbors, guys. I hope he can come back and do what we've seen him do, but I'm nervous. But for the sake of tonight's show, what else do we want to talk about? What else do you guys got? Anything else Giants related? College football related? I just for a little bit from my standpoint, I don't have a college football team. Again, I kind of said it before and I got sidetracked, but I played college football. So I really couldn't, and I didn't go to a big school. Like I played D3 at a small school. I didn't go to a school like a Michigan or an Ohio State. So I didn't have like that loyalty that a lot of people do, as they have that loyalty for their whole life, loving a college football team. Like, so I've always kind of been a gun for hire and love particular players. Was really big on Indiana last year because I liked Signetti. I liked the Indiana story. And my college coach coached Fernando Mendoza in high school, which is pretty cool. What do you think about picking up Taylor at guard? Is he still a free agent? I don't even know. I would do. I got to be loyal to Greg Van Roten. Bring him back in. Bring him back. But yeah, so I liked Indiana. But yeah, besides that, I really never had. I loved Tim Tebow back in the day. Loved everything the Gators would do. But yeah, I want to get down to a Texas game this year. Austin's a pretty cool city. I feel like there's so much to do. Easy flights. Sick barbecue. Joe Rogan's Comedy Club is there. I wouldn't mind checking that out. Then go to a sick SEC football game in Texas. How often do you get to do that? So I think my dad would really enjoy that. And then you get to see Arch Manning play, which I think he was hurt this year. I think he was hurt this year, so we didn't see the best version of Arch Manning. But, whenever you think Manning's done and out, they tend to come back through the fire. I saw a video the other day of Peyton's son just throwing absolute lasers across a high school field, and like whatever, some sort of 7-on-7 or something along those lines. Anything else you guys got? See Jam on TikTok still watching, and then we got Omega and our name. You guys got anything else you want to touch on? I mean, spoke about a lot of the free agency stuff, spoke about draft stuff. I would love to do a live stream for the draft. I gotta see how it goes, because I have a bachelor party that weekend, so I'll be flying out the next morning. But this was fun. All right, let's wrap this up. Another week of Giants offseason coming around, and I think the Giants are in a better place than they were last year already. And I think we're going to see what the power of coaching actually is and can do. So I'm pretty excited about it. And there's been a lot of new people to the channel, so that's been awesome too. Really appreciate the new people following, subscribing. I'm just going to keep on keeping on, see if I can put out some good content for all you guys this off season. Thank you guys again for joining. I hope you guys have a great rest of your Sunday night. Maybe, dude, Omega, you're the man, dude. Have a great rest of your Sunday night and a great start to the week, and lock in, because tomorrow's another day. It's another Monday. Our name, you're the man. Go Giants, baby. It's a Monday, but you know what? We set the tone for the week, so let's go. Peace out. Have a good one, y'all.